Ain't that a daisy?
In a tunnel, going under a mountain in Pennsylvania. 5.5 hours to go. Miss you guys. Oh, look. Back out in the daylight, the sun's going down. Made it through that tunnel. That was pretty cool. Oh well. Love you. Hey everybody, John Bonham, Cape Cod Wet Shaving. I am back. Been almost 3 weeks since I've done a video. Oh man, starting to go into withdrawal. First and foremost, no coffee of the day. I'll be drinking this. Haven't had this in years. I kind of grew up drinking it. Got it in West Virginia. Which, speaking of which, got that there, obviously. And I wanted to show this. I got this for my son. It's an outhouse made out of a solid chunk of coal. How cool is that? So, today I'm not doing a history shave. I'm just going to do another shave just to do it. So my mom, I was trying to think of what I was going to use for a set because I was feeling very Appalachian-y. Mom, you'll probably get a kick out of this. I picked Old Strathcona from MacDuff's for obvious purposes. West Virginia, more specifically Huntington, where we were, is coal country, right where the Rust Belt meets coal country. So, a lot of train tracks. I'll get into the trip here in a second using the Splash, one of my favorite pre-shave oils. And for the balm, I'll be using Chiseled Face Ghost Town Barber. Kind of ironic there too. I'm going to be using Hagen blades. I'll be using this bad boy. This is from John at Cobble Farm. Got this from him. How are you, John? Beautiful razor. Love this thing. Resin handle that he made himself. So, and I'll be using my Chisel and Hound. I think it's Fanchurian 4 Badger brush. And for my bowl, I got to tell you this. This is a little bundt cake tin. And I picked this up during the trip. I figured that would work very well for lathering. We'll find out. Love that. Always have an eye out for that stuff. Anyway. So, a couple things. There's, I was talking to Sean. And I guess he had an interaction with a customer about one of his soaps. He looks like he tried to bloom it, or just his brush was too wet or something. If you ever use Sean's soaps, they're usually, not all of them, but usually they're very, very soft. That he purposely makes them that way. He prefers them soft. And, you know, you adapt. You start to learn to adapt between a crope, softer soaps, harder soaps, all that. Like Noble Otter, I think, is one of the harder soaps, in my opinion. First Line Shave has hard soaps. He has soft ones. So this guy, I guess, went and left a bad review about it. And, I mean, if you saw the photo, you'd kind of just go, all right. And Sean's a good dude, so he gave him a refund, but he was a little, not even upset. He was just kind of like, why? So if you do try MacDuff's and you find that they're too soft, just don't give up on them, I guess. I did the same thing with Black Rock on camera with Tobin. I doused my brush in it and took out, you know, a big old glob of soap because it was soft. You can leave it open and in the air too for a while. So, just wanted to say that. As you know, I'm a MacDuff's fan, and that's kind of a shame that happened, but he's a good artist and good guy. So, what else? I feel like I was going to say something else. I can't remember though. So much to talk about. There's the shirt. Thunder and Herd. My mom went to Marshall University. Be a fact, when the plane crash happened, the famous crash, she was there. She knew one of the cheerleaders, her boyfriend and her parents. Her dad was a doctor for the team on the plane. She lost her boyfriend, one of the players, and both her parents in one fell swoop. Oh, dang, man, excuse me. So, pretty interesting for those who know about it. So this, instead of a history shave, I decided to dedicate this shave to my Uncle Jeff. My Uncle Jeff was born, oh crap, in 1959. My mom sent me his birthday, and I specifically asked for it for this exact reason. I forgot to write it down. I'll put it in the description. But he was born in 1959 in Huntington. My mom is from Huntington. He was my mom had 4 brothers, so he was one of my 4 uncles. He was the youngest out of the 5 of them. And we just went to, he passed away 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Today's Friday. Tomorrow's Saturday. And all last week, my mom flew up from Texas, and I drove to Huntington. This thing's pretty good. I drove to Huntington from my home in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. 13.5-hour drive. It's very beautiful. Great drive there and great drive back. I'm going to show this. This is a photo of my uncle when he was in the Navy. His name was Jeff Dillard. Good photo of him. I actually got that picture from his apartment after my mom and I went there to clean his stuff after his passing. Excuse the water. I posted a little bit. I try not to post when I'm gone because Jess was here with the kids. But I did post that video in the cemetery. And I did a Shave of the Day post, and I tagged Huntington. This thing worked pretty well, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to toy with it more when I'm not trying to do a video. Probably a bad choice to use this for the first time on video. He was sick. He had cirrhosis. So it's one of those situations where he was the black sheep, really. My mom said it perfectly. She said his entire life was a tragedy, which it kind of was, because he had an upbringing. I won't get into it too much, but he had a rough upbringing. Just a lot of people did. My grandpa Bill was not a nice guy, and I'll leave it at that. So he had it rough from childhood, my Uncle Jeff. And he lost contact with a lot of our family. And unfortunately, it's just the way it was. So, if I hadn't gone, my mom would have been there by herself. And that's no fun to go through. That's not a fun thing to go through with a crowd of people, let alone by yourself. So I was glad to go. I was able to. My wife Jess was, hell, she was on board with me leaving, I think, before I was. She was like, "You gotta go." I said, "Yeah, I do." But I'm gonna throw some pictures up. I'm not really gonna try and you know, stand to the side like I usually do. I'm just going to throw them up while I'm talking. It'll be easier. But I got some really good photos of Marshall. I got some good photos of the road, the country leading up there. God's country, as they call it. And by the way, this is about 5 days worth of growth, I think. Something like that. I've shaved, because I did a shave of the day, one shave of the day, one shave while I was there. And I used Atomic Holiday from Barrister Man. And then I took my Paraiso Red, which is like my favorite travel set to take, and I used that once. I didn't use it. I didn't post about it though. So this is about 5 days worth of growth here. Hagen blade, new one. So my Uncle Jeff did have some drinking problems. And full disclosure, I haven't really told a lot of people about this. I quit drinking myself May 9th, 2019. Because I had a drinking problem. Bad one. And I don't really talk about it unless it's with people that I really know very well. But I'll disclose it here more to make a point, is because, you know, you don't know, I guess, unless you have it yourself, or you don't know, you know, what people are going through, I guess, is more the point. Everyone has their demons. Some are just easier to control than others. Some not so much. I consider myself one of the lucky ones. God's help, it'll stay that way, but... So, I was one of the people he would ask about when my mom talked to him. I'm ashamed to say I didn't keep up and, you know, keep in touch with him as often as I should have. I didn't get a chance to talk to him before everything happened with him. Even though he was asking about me. So I have that guilt. But he obviously knew I cared about him. So the first real memory I have with him, I was younger, I met him, I remember meeting him. But the first real memory I have was, believe it or not, I was in West Virginia right before 9/11. I hung out with him for about 2 weeks when my grandmother was still alive. And he was living with her. And they were taking care of each other, really. And I remember I didn't like him at first. He was outgoing, opinionated. He talked a lot. Of course, I was a selfish 19-year-old at the time. Freshly graduated from high school and waiting for the world to give me riches and bestow upon me what I felt it owed me. That was a long wait, by the way. Still waiting on that. But he grew on me. We ended up painting a house together. Someone hired him to paint, and he took me with him, and I earned some money. And I remember, man, he kept getting on to me because I was lazy. I wanted the money, I didn't want the work. You know, kids. And then after that, I left and went to Michigan from West Virginia, and then 9/11 happened, and I got stuck in Warren, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. And then after that, he would ask about me. He liked me. And I guess he had grown on me as well. You and God are the only two that truly know what's in your mind and in your heart. It's easy to judge, but not easy to live and be them, you know. Like I said, he has problems, but I mean, everyone has their problems. And because of what I've gone through, I can relate to him. And I just absolutely pity him. And in his own way, he had a good life. But going into his apartment, he had a photo of himself in the Navy, the one I just showed you. A photo of his son. And a photo of my grandmother when she was young, hanging up right there as soon as you walk in. And that was symbolic and meant a lot to me. Because those were obviously 3 things he cherished more than anything. He had unfortunately lost contact with his son. But the odd thing was the amount of people, because he was in an apartment complex, the amount of people that knew and had good things to say about him and said they're going to miss him. And I went to a restaurant called Steak and Shake. I've never been there before. There's one on the way into his apartments, and so I went there. And I still don't know how. I would assume this lady knew someone in the apartments. But I walked in and was looking at the menu, and she said, "Are you Jeff's nephew?" And I looked up from the menu like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, I saw you in the apartments." I said, "Do you live there?" She goes, "No." But I was pleased. I told my mom that story. I was pleased that someone knew him outside of this community. He left an impression on you. But my mom had to do all the funeral arrangements. We decided not to do an obituary even. We had no family left around really that would read it. Instead, my mom and I took his remains to the Ohio River, and I spread his ashes in the Ohio River over, really nice spot. And I cried a little on the way home for him. Not just mourning him, but mourning what, a rough life, what could have been. I cried for my mother. This is her 3rd brother she's had to bury. It's just, it's hard. So I remember driving over a bridge and I looked down and I'm pissed because I didn't have my phone ready. But going underneath this bridge was a big train with nothing but cars filled with coal. So Huntington is still very much coal country. I don't think I'm doing Sean's lather much justice here. There we go. Whoops. But he was a good guy and he had a heart of gold. He helped a lot of people. And because he didn't get to have an obituary or anything, which I think was the right decision on my mom's part, I'm going to talk about him here. Because he was almost 65 years old. That's an entire life lived. My own little way, I'm going to try to, in this way, try to let the world know he existed. So So my mom and I remember the first thing I did was want to go look for coal to take home. Because I used to visit there every summer to see my grandmother. And I remember getting a coal souvenir years ago in the 90s, like early 90s. Took us a while, but we found it. We got to go to my grandmother's old house. We went to a lot of old places. I hadn't been there, and like I said in that reel, probably about 20 years. It's good to be back. It's really sad. Just the memories I have versus what exists there now. That's the way it is. Life goes on, right? But Mom and I had a great time. Despite why we were there, it was a good visit. Got to drive past Marshall. Got to see the sights. Hadn't been out of the house in a while. I hadn't driven that far in a long time. Give me one moment. I'm going to rinse off. I'll do post. I'm back. I apologize if this is kind of a depressing video. It's not my usual. I'm usually more upbeat. I'm just tired. Oh, I haven't even talked about the beginning. That little cold open was crap. I didn't even think that. You know what I'll do? I'll put a little video snippet right after that. I'll edit it and explain it at the beginning of the video. Screw it, I'll explain it now. Took my two sons to a dental cleaning. The dental hygienist broke my son's permanent retainer while flossing his teeth, walked out, told me that it was loose, acted like she didn't do it. My son, who's 16, mind you, said, "Hey, she broke it, I felt it." And I went, "That's not cool." We promptly went to the orthodontist, and $200 on the spot just to get in and have her look at it. Then we went to the dentist. The dentist said, "Oh, we don't know what you're talking about. Now we have to wait all weekend to deal with that next week." So, life. That's why I seem kind of out of it. That's why this video is so late, because I was literally supposed to be home by 9:30 this morning and then make the video then. But it is what it is. So, 22 minutes. Oh, well. Life can be a real pain in the ass. It can be a real motherfucker. I usually don't cuss on here, but I'll do it that one time for that, because it absolutely can. But the thing I think that's easy to forget that you shouldn't is that no matter what front people put on, everyone's going through something in their life. And it's easy to judge. And I did. That's exactly what I did when I was young. And I wish I hadn't. Because life got me as it gets everyone. And I learned through experience and age and time to be humble, more humble. And, you know, you're not going to be there forever, neither is everyone you know and love. So I wish I had been able to tell him, you know, despite what people may think of you, you're a hell of a guy. And thanks. Because he remembered me, but I also remembered him. Wish I'd known him better. All right. I'm just about to do it. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I like this one because you close it. I always forget that anytime I use it. Because like Will at Barrister and Man, once it's open, it's open. You try to screw it shut, it squirts out and wastes it. But thanks again to everyone who checked on me. You know who you are. Really appreciate it. Excuse me. It's a messy business, Death. One thing that's constant and that you wish wasn't. Oh well. Got a good visit out of it. Alright everyone. I'm going to be doing a review video for Andy, the wet shaving store, next, and then I would like to do a history shave next. I have one that I owe to Sean, believe it or not, at MacDuff's. He requested one. Can't wait. So I'll be doing that. I actually have a list of requests to do. One from Angelo in Michigan, one from Carlitos. That one's, actually I should do that one real soon because this is the oldest one of them. Anyway, I'll go take a look. But thank you for watching this. I know it was a little depressing. Wasn't my usual. But I did want to talk about them. And I know I'm going to kick myself because I had everything planned this morning and then everything went to hell with the day. So who knows, maybe I'll make a second video talking more in depth about it at some point. I don't know. But either way, thank you for watching. Stupid gray hairs. Appreciate you tuning in. I'll be back to my normal format as soon as I am able. But yeah, thank you. If you want, don't forget the the codes. See, that's where I am right now. Affiliate. Jeez, my affiliate codes, Old Strathcona. They're available at wherever you get your favorite soaps. And that'll do it. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Y'all take care. Till next time, happy shaving.